So with the scale patterns that we have in the book, one of the things that I've done is I pulled them from the Albert scales, except I omitted the septuplets. The septuplets in this context for the intermediate level, I found were not as useful in regards to being able to develop the strong technique that one would need, but also in regards to counting and rhythm. So right here with the C major scale, one of the things that I recommend is being able to choose a tempo that is comfortable for you. There are fingerings written in each of these exercises that make it so that way you don't have to worry about which finger do I use, should I use the left or the right, but being able to approach it in a way that makes it so you have that option, but if it's not comfortable for you, you can always choose another part. So I'm just going to play through some of this for you so that way you can see what I've decided. So for example, with the C major scale, as I've mentioned before, we have right here the full fingering, which is listed as F, which requires this key and also this key. Now I'm going to use that fingering, as I've done before in the previous example, to demonstrate what it looks like. Now that's one option, or you could even do left and right. The next exercise that we have, it's similar to what we talked about. So I'm using the C major scale as an example because if you know how to do it with the C major, you'll be able to apply this concept with the other tonalities. So right here we have the triplets. Now, it's important to not play it like this. Right? So you're putting emphasis on each triplet, like you're trying to count, thinking triplet, triplet, right? You want to be able to have a smooth line. So one of the things that I recommend is actually playing the principal scale, right? The C major scale. Right? And then playing the pattern as you see. Right? So that way it gives the impression of having direction without having it be so marked, right? So when we think about this and you think about the different passages that we encounter in music, you're going to encounter this at some shape or form, right? Now, right here in the next exercise, what we have is the interrupted scale. So similar to what I've mentioned before, it's important to understand that you should play the fundamentals. So if you need an idea of being able to understand the line, it's always good to do it. So I'm going to do it right now for you. So I'm doing it within one octave, even though there are two. Now, that said, being able to have that type of direction is going to be very important. So it's not just playing the exercise because it's an exercise and we see this all the time, but being able to have direction, right? And if you're able to approach your scales and your mechanism exercises in this way, it's going to help you become a better musician. So anything that comes out of your clarinet should be music, right? Even though a lot of time, people think scales are boring. Now, if you have trouble with the 16th notes, right, or the patterns with the interruptive scales, you can also use the different patterns that we've talked about. I'm just going to do it for the first measure. able to approach this in this way will make it a lot easier. Now, the biggest thing is also being able to identify your problems. Sometimes that's really hard. And so when you listen, sometimes you think you're doing something that you're not. So one of the things I recommend is that you take your iPad, your Android, your iPhone, and record yourself doing these patterns, because you're going to learn a lot also from listening to yourself play. Now, in regards to the next pattern that we have the thirds. Now, thirds are not our best friend sometimes. They can be quite tricky and quite painful. I'm just kidding.